All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera Passions. I am your regular. Fuck! I I am your regular host, LeTara, here today with an extra special guest, Miss Laura in the house.
Woo, 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 woo. Let's get passionate. Yeah.
Welcome back, Laura. We missed you.
I have missed you. It is so nice to return. I can't believe I'm back.
Everybody's going to be so excited to see you. I already know.
Aww.
They're going to be like so thrilled and excited that you're on the podcast, as I am. I'm sorry you got such a snooze of a week.
It's so funny because I was watching this and there were a couple moments where they would allude to the fact that the Bennett house is gone. And there was like, we'll get into it in more detail, but like when you climbed into hell again, and I was like, what the fuck? And then everything else, it was like no time had passed and nothing had fucking happened.
Yes, I actually want to tell you this. So let's just bring you up to speed real quick. So you know how we did the whole Hecuba thing in the mine shaft and all that, and they took Hecuba out of there. Well, Kay sold her soul to Hecuba to get rid of Charity, but the way that Hecuba got rid of Charity was by opening up a portal to hell in Charity's closet and then pushing her into the closet. So Charity got trapped in hell. And then there was like weeks and weeks of Charity's trapped in hell, but nobody knows where she is. Miguel thought that she was trapped in the walls.
He would think that.
He would. But there's like weeks and weeks of Charity's trapped in hell. And then Miguel and Kay both got trapped in hell as well. And then the house just started to be swallowed up by hell. Literally every single person in this town, with the exception of Gwen and Beth, ended up at this, we were calling it the Hell House, at the Hell House, at the Hell House, and witnessed it. Nobody learned a lesson. We like literally last week we finished with that. And everybody just went on with their fucking lives.
God, amazing.
The house was sucked into a hell chasm. So they now have an empty lot, the Bennett lot. We're not calling it the Bennett home. We're calling it the Bennett lot.
The Bennett property.
Yeah. So, but yeah, nobody learned a fucking thing. At the end of it all, Father Lonigan gave basically a homily about how deception and lies is what caused this, and that everybody needs to be honest with each other to keep evil at bay. But everybody's just still keeping their secrets and lying to each other and being deceptive. Nobody learned anything.
No one learned anything. Yeah, I knew if I hadn't like been actual life friends with you and we talk, I would not have known that anything happened other than like 2 sentences where I think Julian was like, oh, you called about demons roaming around your house or flying around your house or whatever. And then, yeah, I think Kay said to Miguel something about when you climbed back into hell again.
Yeah, they said a couple of things in passing, and it's just so funny how they say it so flippantly and like in such, and I said this last week and the week before, if something like that had happened to me or to my house or to my neighbor's house, one, I'm getting out of this town. That's number one. But number two, I would be talking about it for decades.
I would tell every single person I knew, and everyone that I'd already talked to, I would tell them again.
Yeah. So let's start with magic today. So we watched episodes 476 through 480. Yes,
we watched the same episodes. Good for us.
Amazing. So let's just pick up with Kay and Miguel at Miguel's house. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let me just tell y'all right the fuck now. The Passions pissed me off this week because they started out with all these fucking dream sequences that really irritated me. It was like every single person in this show was like having a dream that they tried to make us think was real. But I almost immediately was like, oh, these are all dreams. These are all. I was like, oh, I think everybody. When Reese like was like, Tabitha, you're a witch, and then they were like gonna burn her at the stake. I was like, oh, everybody's dreaming.
And here's the difference between you and me, because you're a regular host and you watch Passions all the time. You knew. And I'm an irregular host now. And so I was watching Passions, and I about halfway through like the second episode, I was like, wait a minute. It like took me way too long to figure out that these were all dream sequences. And then I got really mad about it. Because then I was like, now I'm going to have to just watch all of it again. Because first they're going to do it in a dream, and then they're going to do it in real life. And I was so mad.
Yeah. Part of me doesn't even want to talk about the dreams, but we're gonna talk about them in passing. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about Kay's dream, number
Oh,
one.
sorry.
What?
Before we do, I also want to say I was very confused as to where everyone was. Like at first I thought we were in the Bennett house, and then I was like, are we in Tabitha's house? Are we in Teresa's house? Are we at the Crane mansion? Like where are we? So
So
anyway, that's what I wanted to.
all of the Bennetts, with the exception of Sam, are staying at Tabitha's house right now.
Okay, and Grace is staying at the Airbnb.
No, Grace
Oh.
is staying at Tabitha's house, but
Oh.
she went to work. So
Ah,
that's where she was. She was at her shop. She wasn't at the Airbnb or whatever it
for
is.
the Airbnb, the B&B.
The B&B. She was at her, you remember she has that antique shop. We haven't seen, this is why I was like, Laura is going to be like, what the fuck? It's been a year and nothing has changed, because we have not even seen her shop in like 200 episodes.
Since
Like I
I was
forgot that it even I forgot it even existed
Oh,
until
'cause
she was there.
I thought Jessica said like, "Oh, my parents are broken up, and so now mom is staying at the B."
Okay. Here's what's happening.
Okay.
Grace and Sam have separated. Sam is staying at the police station. Grace is staying with Jessica
No, he's
and
not. He's staying at the police station.
yeah, they have a
Oh,
a
damn.
bunk room at the police station. But the bunk room literally has a queen bed in it and just pictures of Sam's children and family. Like it's a bedroom. It's his bedroom.
That's so
Anyway,
sad. Poor Sam.
so he's staying at the police station. Grace is staying at Tabitha's house with Jessica and Charity. Kay schemed her way into staying at Miguel's house. Like I said, we are back at square one with Kay. She is trying to
Yeah.
seduce Miguel. Like that's it. She doesn't care. She also still doesn't have a soul. She still hasn't gotten her soul back either. Tabitha has her soul. So that's going to come up eventually, I guess.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for catching me up.
You're welcome. It's my job. It's kind of my job. No. So let's pick up with Kay having this dream. I think this was probably the most realistic one that I was like, okay, maybe this is happening. She's staying over at Miguel's house. She tells him that he's about to leave. He says, let me know if you need anything, as he leaves the room. And she's like, I do need something. And she goes over to him and she kisses him and he kisses her back. And they kiss for a little bit and then he pushes her away. And he's like, no, I can't do this. I'm with Charity. And she says, you can love two people.
She actually says, quote, right before you jumped into hell again, you told me you loved me. And that's why I was like, jumped into hell twice.
Not only did he tell her he loved her, he kissed her. Miguel has now kissed Kay multiple times. Miguel has now told Kay that he loves her, but he's still doing this whole Charity bullshit. Also, when they were breaking free from hell, he broke free from a demon first, and the first person he tried to save was Kay, not Charity.
Ooh, does Charity know that he has kissed Kay a lot?
No.
Oh, shit. Wow.
No. And they're not making a big deal about it like they should be. Like she keeps saying, you told me you love me, but you need to be saying, you also kissed me. Let's not forget. Multiple times on the mouth.
Saved me first. Multiple times on the mouth and saved me first from hell.
So I have just decided that Kay is no longer delusional. Like he has been leading her on, in my opinion.
I would happen to agree.
Kay is no longer delusional, and she can get Miguel if she want to. I could take your man if I want to, but I don't want to. I could take your man if I want to. She could take your man if she want to. So anyway, that's what she's dreaming about, taking Charity's man. But it's not real. So let's go on to Tabitha's dream. Tabitha is dreaming that Reese catches her talking to Timmy, and that he convinces everybody that she's a witch, and then they all tie her to a stake and burn her alive like they did 300 years ago. Wakes up, that's a dream. Of course, that's a dream. Hers was the one that was like, oh, this is obviously a dream.
Yeah, hers was the most obvious to me as well. Which thank God at least I saw through that one. But and then what? They come in with muffins.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Tabitha and Timmy are talking about Tabitha's Ross problem. I've taken to calling him Ross, but like she does. But her Ross problem and how she's like he is on to me. He's seen you. He's seen my fishtail. He knows. And then Charity and Reese show up with a big basket of muffins that Grace sent over from the B&B, I guess. Your house went to hell last night. What are you doing making muffins?
Oh, your house went to hell.
I just okay, but anyway, they showed up with a big basket of muffins.
Yes.
And
And that's I think when Ross brings up that the paper said that the Bennett house was swallowed up by a sinkhole. So that's what they've decided. Even though they all saw demons flying around and they went to hell and back a few times, they've decided that a sinkhole swallowed everything up and they're just going to ignore it.
well, so Jessica's the one with the paper, and she's really upset. Jessica is just always on 10 now. Like she is just like, as she should be. She should be upset. Nobody else is as upset about these things as they should be. But
Jessica has taken the temperature the correct way.
yeah.
Everyone else is absolutely wrong.
But yeah, she says, yeah, the in the paper they're reporting that it was a sinkhole, that there's no such thing as demons, and that we're all crazy. So the people who were experienced it know that it happened and they believe that that happened, but the rest of the town and the wider world who reads the Harmony Herald, they just think that the house was swallowed up by a sinkhole. And no, like, never mind the fact that there's literal ash in this place where their house used to be. Like, it is scorched earth there. It's not a sinkhole.
Yeah, so it's scorched earth. Like a sinkhole would be an open space where you could see into like the foundations of where the house used to be, and it's just a bunch of dirt, and it's like they would look very different, right? Sorry, I
Yes.
can't get past this. I'm sorry. I know we were talking about muffins and now I'm talking about a sinkhole.
Listen, like I said, everybody's just going on with their lives. It's
Interesting.
the craziest thing that has ever happened to anyone ever, and they're all just going to ignore it and move on with their lives and continue to live in this town. Not only that, Grace and Sam want to build a house on that same fucking lot, the same house in the same spot. Hell no. Hell no.
Oh.
Hell no. I need to relocate entirely to a different continent, honestly. This like but anyway, yes,
Anyway,
the
sorry.
paper is saying that these 25 people that experienced this are crazy and nothing actually happened.
Right.
Um and Jessica gets really upset about it. Then she gets upset that her parents are separated. That's what you alluded to, talking about how she was like, our parents are separated and blah. Yeah, I mean, Sam Sam has another son. Like,
Yeah.
Grace needs some time.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was Jessica, honestly, if I was Jessica or Kay, I would be a little upset with Sam too, myself.
I would be upset about the whole thing. And it wouldn't just be my parents are separated and that makes me sad. It would also be I have a brother that I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the whole construction of our family is now different. Like I have lived the past, I don't know, 15 years in one reality. And in the span of a minute, everything has changed. And I have
Yeah.
to second guess everything that I thought was true and kind of reassess my whole life. Yeah. It's interesting. Like she has the right reaction, but they give her so little space to have it.
Yeah. They've boiled it down to like the smallest possible issue, right? Like they've boiled it down to like this after school special of divorced parents,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, of
Mhm.
like kids of divorced parents and how hard kids take it when their parents separate.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest, when my parents divorced, I was thrilled.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of kids, I'm not in this situation. Their parents seemed perfect and loved each other and like, but most people who get a divorce, it has been coming for quite some time, and the kids are better off with divorced parents instead of parents who are constantly arguing with each other, fighting with each other, yelling, and just like that constant. But that's not important anyway.
It's a different kind of hell house.
Yeah, mm, listen, it really is.
Yeah.
So anyway, Miguel shows up, and then he and Charity have the most irritating conversation because they're the two most irritating people on this show.
Girl, this conversation was hilarious. Why does Miguel want to talk to Charity about marriage? And the way he goes about talking about it is so weird. He's like, I wonder if there's a perfect age for people to get married, Charity.
And then he goes on to say, and we are very mature for our ages. Are you? Are
Yeah.
you? Because you ran into hell. Miguel went to hell multiple times to get Charity. Like he escaped and went back and escaped and went back. Are you mature? Are you? Because a mature person would just cut their losses.
You're just saying that because you don't like Charity. If you were Charity in that situation, you would want Miguel to be coming back to get you.
The fuck I would. I would be trying to get out, but I would be mad at him. Like, why the hell you keep coming back here?
I think they're absolutely not at all, but they're certainly immature people.
Yeah,
Um,
and then she's
the,
like,
the fact that they're even having this conversation in the way that they're having it demonstrates how not mature they are.
yeah, the fact that you call making love pop pop tells me you're not ready for it. Not ready for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, so they have this conversation. At one point, Charity talks about Teresa, which really pissed me off. Like, she was like, even your sister's getting married, and I would say we're even more mature than her. Like, she's really immature. Bitch, shut the fuck up. You've never had an independent thought in your fucking life. Shut up. Shut up. Don't you talk about the icon. The icon, Teresa.
Right. She's like, well, I love her, but I do wonder if she's mature enough to get married.
Which I mean, let me be honest. Teresa should not be getting married.
No, she shouldn't. But Charity
But-
shouldn't be talking out her mouth about Miss Teresa.
Yeah, don't talk about Teresa. Keep Teresa's name out your mouth, number one. And number two, neither should you. You shouldn't be getting married either. So then they start talking about, Miguel says, so I wonder if this double wedding they've been talking about should be a triple wedding. A double wedding is bad enough. A triple wedding? Like, are we the Moonies? What are you doing?
Yes, they are. Can you imagine if these characters from Passions joined the Mooney cult?
I mean, they talk a lot about purity and shit. So
they sure do. Just give them a couple guns.
Purity
right?
and hellfire. I mean, it's basically the same thing.
I think I'm thinking. So the Moonies, there's like a subsect where they now like worship guns.
Yeah, the gun people. Yeah,
I can't remember what they're called.
I don't either. I don't care. But they have the crown of bullets for the pastor. Yeah.
Yes.
And they all carry AK-47s or whatever. Yeah, it's
Absolutely
nuts.
a thing. Okay. So going back to Passions. Sorry, I get us off track. This double wedding that Miguel is talking about, I'm assuming that's Teresa, Ethan, and then Sheridan and Luis.
Correct.
Okay.
So then all the Lopez Fitzgerald kids would just get married together, I guess, is what
Hell
Miguel
no.
thinks, because he's like, we could save money and blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you're thinking about, and that's another thing, if you're thinking about having a triple wedding with your siblings, you're absolutely not mature enough to get married, because what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Like y'all having a joint birthday party. No.
Like you have no independence beyond your immediate family members. That's a sign that you are a child.
It's a wedding, not a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party. I just they get on my nerves.
Well,
so
that's enough. We don't have to talk about them anymore. That's all they did.
that's all they did. So we are moving on to Sam and Grace. Troubled marriages.
Hmm.
Sam, Grace, Ivy. Oh Lord. So Sam has been kicked out. Let me tell you about what has happened between Sam and Grace, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
So Sam went to hell and back to try and save the kids from hell, right? The whole house has been swallowed up, right? That same night, Tabitha offers by accident for them to come and stay with her. So they all go stay with her. That night, Grace tells Sam, me and the girls are staying here. You need to find somewhere else to go. Even though y'all's whole life, the house has been swallowed up by hell. And this man has been running in and out of a burning house all fucking night. You can't let him sleep on the couch. So
Wow.
she sent him off on his merry. Okay. So we pick up today where Grace is at her shop. Sam comes in with flowers and candy. He tells her, I know that these things don't compare. These are just tokens, but they don't compare to the real things like honesty and trust, which he is correct. And he tells her that the last night was the worst night of my life, having to have spent it away from her. He says, not because of the demons from hell or that we lost our house and all of our possessions to hell, but because I had to spend it away from you. It's lovely. It's not true, but it's lovely. I mean, I can only imagine that last night was the worst night of your life because you saw the flames of fucking hell. Like you saw your mortality. You faced that shit. That had to be pretty awful. Imagine the nightmares you would have.
That's exactly what yes, I had the same reaction, not just because of the demons from hell and the fact that we lost our house and all of our worldly possessions, but because I had to spend it away from you. Come on, sir.
Like spending a night away from your spouse is such an ordinary thing.
Right.
Going to hell is a different thing entirely.
No, spending any time away from Grace is an ordeal. He would rather be transported into the game of Diablo and go through that from beginning to end than spend even a minute away from his beautiful wifey.
Oh, Lord. So he tells her that he loves her. He knows that he loves her and not Ivy. He says he knows that she loves him too and that she wants him to come home. They kiss, but Grace goes in for it for a little while, and then she tearfully pulls away, says it's not right, everything's changed, and nothing will ever be the same again. And Sam says it's not going to be the same, but we can make it better, which is actually something that Grace had said several episodes ago, where he said we can get things back to the way they were, and she said I don't want things the way they were. I don't want the same marriage. I don't want the same house. I want something different. I want something better than what we had, because what we had was based on lies. So he is kind of echoing what she told him, which was we're going to make things better between us. And he says he doesn't want to spend time. He doesn't want to even acknowledge Ivy, his past. He doesn't want to spend time with Ivy because I'm sure you picked up on this. Grace has given him this ultimatum that did I say ultimatum?
No, you said ultimatum, but in my head, I said ultimatum. I made the joke inside of my own head. Grace gives Sam an ultimatum.
And she has told him that he needs to sit down with Ivy, spend time with Ivy, and put their past to rest. She hasn't been explicit about what that means, though. And I said this last week. Hank, this man's not Hank, this is Sam. Sam is an idiot. Sam needs explicit instructions, right? He needs to know, like, what do you specifically need me to, like, talk about with Ivy to put it to rest, basically. So anyway, he's been pushing back on that. He doesn't want to do it. Grace wonders if he doesn't want to do it because you are worried that those feelings you have for Ivy will reignite. He keeps saying, we've been having this conversation a lot. Were you on the show when all of this came out or not?
Just before it came out, like when literally, it's like it's as if I missed a week of episodes, like a week of information. Because like Teresa had the information and had it on her laptop and then like lost the laptop and then got it back. And then like a few people had started to figure it out, but it hadn't gotten to Sam and Ethan just yet. So,
well, let's talk about what happened to Grace, because I think what happened to Grace in that time is actually really important for how she is reacting to Sam. What happened was there was an engagement party for Ethan and Teresa where this information came out. It was a tabloid that came out with Ethan Crane is not a Crane. He's Sam Bennett's son. That was like the headline. And Grace was pregnant at the time. She had just found out she was pregnant. Um, and she heard the information and she was standing at the top of the stairs and she fainted. She fell down the stairs. She lost the baby.
Oh my
And
God.
that's only been they're now saying it's been weeks, but honestly, it's actually only been like 3 or 4 days. It has not been that long
Yeah.
since it happened, but because of the way the soap opera is set up, they have to say it's been weeks,
Right,
right?
right.
Because we've been watching, because that honestly, that was like you said, that was almost a year ago now, that
Wow.
when I watched it. So anyway, so she lost her baby, and so that is part of this.
Without you even saying that, I would, as I was watching these episodes, I was like, I see both sides.
Mhm.
Without even knowing that information, I mean, I think she's a fabulous actor, so I was picking up on something where I was like, I see both sides. I see where Sam is like, no, it happened before I met you. I didn't keep it from you intentionally, blah, blah. I didn't want to hurt you. But then I see Grace where it's like, no, but I asked you point blank and I saw a bunch of things and you continued to lie about it, which tells me that you are keeping feelings inside and maybe you don't even want to admit it to yourself and you need to sort it out. But now on top of it, to know that she was pregnant, and I mean, yeah, that's really
Mhm.
awful.
It was horrible. And
I'm like fully on Grace's side.
well, I will
Well,
say,
maybe not fully, but I'm a lot on Grace's side.
yeah, I'm more on Grace's side than I am on Sam's side. And part of that is because of all the other things that I've seen leading up to this. Because like right after it happened, Sam was like really pressing her to like talk to him, and she needed some space and he just would not give her space, and that really irritated me about him. And everybody, literally everybody was telling her she needs to forgive Sam like immediately.
Mm,
Yeah, so that put me very firmly in Grace's camp. As time has gone on, and with the stuff that happened last week with the Hell House and him going to hell and like all of that, it's like this issue is actually a little bit bigger
mm,
than the marriage stuff, but that doesn't mean that we don't need to address the marriage stuff, but maybe it puts things into a better perspective. To me, that's what would happen, I would think,
mm,
is that after you experience almost losing your niece, your daughter, and your husband, that you would realize, I don't want to lose them. I don't want to live without my family,
mhm,
and try a little bit harder
mhm.
to mend things between you and your husband. I don't know, but that's just me. Anyway, but I agree with you. I've been saying I see both sides. I see both sides of this. I'm more on Grace's side though.
Mhm.
Um so she talks about, I want to talk about this. One, Grace talks about her amnesia. I'm so glad they brought this up again.
Yeah, yeah.
Grace brings up her amnesia and talks about how she feels like maybe the reason she's taking it so hard is because she lost all of those years, and it's very important to her that she always knows what's going on in her life right here and now. Then she talks about, what if somebody from my past showed up and you were in my shoes, right? And you caught them doing all the things, kissing under the mistletoe or whatever the other
Showing
things
up
were.
naked at the ski lodge and
Yeah.
then gaslighting me and saying that I didn't see what I saw.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love that they brought that up, because I'm going to tell you right now, somebody from Grace's past, quote past, does come into the picture, and it blows everything up. And
Really?
I don't remember when it happens. I just remember that it does happen, and like their roles become kind of reversed.
Mm.
So it's actually really interesting that they kind of allude to that so early on. I'm looking forward to
Mm.
it. So anyway, they have this conversation, right? And I feel like you summarized it very, very well. Now, uh, Sam is like, you know what? If you want me to talk to Ivy, I will do it. I'll call her right now. And he goes over the phone. He calls Ivy. He tells her, I'll meet you at the book cafe. Grace then has a premonition of Sam and Ivy at the book cafe, like laughing and giggling and then kissing. And she
Mm.
gets really upset. Sam's like, wait, if you don't want me to do this, I won't do it. And she's like, no, 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 you should do it. So he meets up with Ivy. So let's talk about where Ivy is right now. Ivy is at the Crane Mansion waiting on a phone call from Sam, because she knows that Grace has given him this task that he has to meet up with her. And Ivy is so confident that she will be able to ensnare Sam and get him back. She's like, all I need is the phone call. Just give me the open. Just put me in the game, coach. Just put me in the game, coach. And she,
I love that Ivy also has moved on from like, I just want to have an affair with Sam to, well, Grace is pushing him into my arms. So I guess now we're just going to have a life together. We can be a family.
well, Ivy doesn't have anything else to lose.
Yeah.
Before, Ivy had a bunch to lose, and now she doesn't have anything to lose.
I have a question also. And I know we're gonna get to Julian and Rebecca, but like, are Julian and Ivy now divorced?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
No, honey, because Ivy will tell you in a second, I am still Mrs. Julian Crane.
that's why
I
I
am
was
still
confused.
Mrs. Crane. But Rebecca is now engaged to Julian, and
Right,
Julian
even
is
though
there.
he's still married.
Yes, and Julian
Okay,
is trying to divorce Ivy, but Ivy is saying, you'll drag me out of here dead, honey.
okay,
She
okay.
said, I worked for all this shit. This house is mine.
Come on, Ivy. Yeah,
Yes.
because it was just like, wait a minute. She's trying to like build a life with Sam, but she seems pretty intent on staying in the Crane mansion and being Mrs. Crane and all that. Okay,
I think
I
she'll
just
give it
wasn't
up
sure.
if she I think she'll give it up if she can get Sam.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think if she can get Sam, then she doesn't give a fuck about this Crane mansion. She can just live with Sam and live in a little bungalow. You
Mhm.
know, live in Grace's house, live in the rebuilt Grace house on the hell chasm. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, I can't believe we haven't made this joke, but are you ready? The sink hell.
The sink hell. The
Don't
sink
laugh. It's
hell.
terrible. It's
It's a
terrible.
it is a sink
But
hell.
it is a sink hell.
The sunken place.
I feel bad for saying it. It's not funny. But thank you for
I
laughing.
laughed. I'm sure one or two people will laugh at that.
Oh.
No, so let's talk about Ivy. She's excited. She's waiting on a phone call from Sam. Pilar, of course, comes in and is like, I can't believe you're so excited to break up somebody's marriage. Please stop doing this. Sam is never going to call you. She keeps saying, like, Sam's not gonna call you. And then Ivy says, Pilar, what she say to Pilar? She says, "You are always so pessimistic, Pilar." And I just loved that because Pilar is pessimistic, but she also is like sane. She's the same person. Although let me just tell you, I got on Pilar's ass last week because let me tell you about this lady. She is too involved in these cranes. Her child, Miguel, was in hell, okay?
Mhm.
Teresa was talking about having sex with Ethan at her house in her living room. And
Mm-mm.
instead of just like following Teresa home, she went and hung out with Ivy and went to go deal with Ivy's bullshit. Like, and I said it last week. I'm gonna say it again. I said Pilar's a bad mom, and then I changed it to Pilar's a bad mom to her kids because she's a very good mom to the Cranes.
She's a great mom to Sheridan. She's a great mom to Ivy. Yeah, her her priorities definitely seem strange to me.
Mm-hmm.
And here she goes and talks to Grace.
Yep.
After talking with Ivy, she goes and talks to Grace. And yeah, like these people are adults. Mind your children. Mind your children.
Mind your children. Mind your 18-year-old daughter that's about to marry this like 26, 27-year-old man.
Oh
And
my
you know that she had this secret on him. And you know that he is intent on like destroying whoever knew about his paternity. I don't know. I just would be worried about my daughter's safety. But
Also, where's Martin?
girl, let's talk about this real quick. So
Because she does bring it up.
Pilar talks to Ivy for a while, and she does not get through to Ivy, which of course she doesn't get through to Ivy. She's been dealing with Ivy for however long she's been dealing with her. She's never gotten through to her, not once.
Right.
So she,
goes
like
to
you said, she goes to Grace, and she tells Grace that you like stop. Oh, she says stop this foolishness. Which I loved because that's something that like my mom used to say, like,
Yeah.
y'all need to stop this foolishness. She says, stop this foolishness. She says, Ivy will do anything to get Sam. She'll lie, she'll cheat. And then she invokes the name of Martin, right? She's like, you need to stop being so stubborn and stupid. if I could just have one day with my husband. Here you are with a great husband who loves you and will do anything for you, is telling you he doesn't want to be with this other woman, and you're pushing him into her arms. Meanwhile, my husband, I would give anything to have one day again with my husband, which, fine, Pilar, but I don't know. Knowing what I know, Martin ain't. Martin
Martin,
really ain't shit.
Martin shit.
Martin really ain't shit, but um she it also just is an unfair comparison. Like, to for all
Yeah.
intents and purposes, Martin is dead,
Hmm.
right? Like, it just feels unfair to bring in your dead husband to like a knife fight. You know?
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely, yeah, apples and oranges, for sure. But it was just, it just highlighted the fact that in the year that I haven't watched Passions,
Nothing has
we have
changed.
barely moved the plot forward, barely at all.
As I was watching, I was laughing. I was like, Laura will be like, nothing has happened.
Nothing has happened.
Nothing has happened.
And I know, and again, I'm aware that things have happened, and yet also nothing has happened. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like amazing how the writers have danced along the edge of this knife for a whole year. It's incredible.
Well, we're getting a little. We really move like a glacier, like a
Yeah,
centimeter a year.
yeah.
But like, it's moving, but you can't see it.
Mhm.
But so Grace pushes back on Pilar, saying, "You wouldn't be here talking to me about this, trying to get me to stop this, if you didn't also believe that there was a chance that Sam would choose Ivy." Here's my thing about this whole thing with Sam and Ivy and Grace. A person can love more than one person. I like it's possible, and it's who do they choose? Monogamy is a choice. Being
Mhm.
with somebody is a choice. You choose that person, and that's the person you want to be with, and you make that commitment, and that is what matters. The commitment is what matters, because you
Yeah.
can love multiple people. Like, of course he still has love for Ivy in his heart if he loved her once and she's still the same person, but she's not the person he chooses.
Mhm.
For me, I think I would be that caveat would be okay, right? So
Yeah.
for her to be saying that she needs to make sure he doesn't love Ivy anymore, he has no love, it's like, that's unrealistic to me. Now, making sure that there now the issue between them where he's lying to her and has been lying
Right.
to her, that is where I would have to draw a line. It's like, why do you keep lying to me? Because, and we will get to it, but he lies to her in these episodes.
He does.
So
Yep. Mhm. Mhm.
and he always uses this excuse kind of I don't want to hurt you, but you already see what keeping things from Grace, it does hurt her. So stop
Mhm.
doing that.
I would agree. I would also say it's interesting that we're looking at this only from the lens of Ivy and Grace, and we're kind of ignoring the fact that Sam does have these conflicting feelings, and that he's trying to be, what am I trying to say? He's trying to, I guess, be noble. He's trying to choose Grace. And he's also probably conflicted about the fact that he has a son that he doesn't know, and that all of this stuff is coming up. And we're not really getting into that at all. We're just getting into, where's he putting his dick? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And that to me is not very interesting. So I don't know. I think we're doing a disservice to what I think is a really common thing where, yeah, you can have feelings for multiple people, and some people choose polyamory and some people choose monogamy, and neither one, there's not a value statement attached to either one. It's just like a fact. But in Sam and Grace's case, he is trying to choose her. He's just not going about it in a good way. And yeah, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but he's continuing to lie to her, which is a big problem.
It's the lying that's the problem for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Me too.
So Pilar puts these more doubts in Grace's mind about, like, you're pushing him away. Who do you think? Oh, I didn't like this at all. Talking about what kind of woman do you think a man would choose? A woman who accepts him just as he is, or a woman who's pushing him away? And it's like, that really brushes over glazes over all of the points that Grace has made, all
Mhm.
of them. And it's not about the man choosing, it's about Grace choosing. It's about
Yeah.
Grace deciding if she wants to still be in this marriage, if she can still be in this marriage.
Mhm.
Nobody ever respects Grace's fucking space, and it irritates me.
Yeah.
Everybody expects her to be this saint, this perfect woman, their ideal of a perfect woman who is never upset, never angry, will just accept whatever. Just because a
Her
man says he loves you does not mean that you have to be with him.
She's the person where her house gets sunken into hell and she bakes muffins that night. Like
Yeah.
that's what they think a perfect woman is. Right. And like this also absolves the writers from getting into Sam's stuff because instead of making him a person and making Grace a person, they just make them all objects that people are chasing after, which like
Mm,
oh, it just makes it much less interesting to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they don't respect Grace's like autonomy and Grace's space and Grace's desires and wants and ambitions. And yeah, she's just like a husk. She's just a husk. The husk of a housewife.
This the real husks of harmony,
The
the real
husks
husk
of
housewives
harmony.
of harmony.
The real husks of harmony.
Oh
Oh God, that's so stupid. I love it.
boy. Yeah. So let's talk about Sam and Ivy. Sam goes and meets Ivy at the book cafe. She's thrilled. I I will say, I will say, I feel about Ivy similarly to how I feel about Teresa. I really just want her to get what she wants.
I do love Ivy. She just glows. She lights up the screen. There's
Yeah.
so great. I don't she yeah, she just is uh what's the word? I'm just very drawn to Ivy.
Dynamic. She's so
Dynamic.
dynamic.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I just really want her to get what she wants. I don't think it's right, but I but I want it for her.
I
And
want it for her too.
she really, every time she sees Sam, you can see the softness in her. Like her facade melts away. It's almost like you see the real Ivy every time
Yes.
she sees Sam, and I really like that about her. And I don't know, she see the softness, and I like it. Anyway, she sees Sam. She's very excited to see him. He's not excited to see her. He says, "I already told you, I'm not in love with you. I love my wife, but she insisted that I come here, so I'm here." And Ivy is like, "Well, we have to talk. Grace is the one. It's Grace, not me. Grace is the one who said you need to do. I didn't make you do this." And Sam's like,
Ivy's so much smarter than Sam. It's really unfair. He doesn't
"Yeah,
stand a chance.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't stand a chance. It's Ivy. Ivy's going to win the war every single time.
Mhm.
Every single time." So they're sitting there having this like quote conversation. It's really more Sam just like yelling at Ivy and telling her how much he doesn't love her, and that she was a grown woman. She made her choices, and listen, it sounds like there's some unresolved feelings there, right? I
It
hear
really
that.
does. I hear it too. Because if feelings had been resolved, he wouldn't be carrying around this grudge.
He's so angry. Oh, you're so
So
mad.
angry. And he has every right to be mad about the fact that she hid an entire child from him. But
Yes.
that's not what he seems to be mad about.
No, I agree. He doesn't seem, he's not nearly angry enough about the fact that Ethan is his son and he had no clue,
Yeah.
as he is about the fact that Ivy wants to be with him. I don't understand
Yeah.
why he's so mad about that, but he's not angry about, like, he seems fine with the fact that, oh, well, he's come to terms with the fact that he's a 26-year-old son he never knew
He
was
doesn't
his.
know. Yeah, because he brings up, he's like, you chose Julian over me. Like he basically says that. He's like, you wanted the Crane wealth and name and all that, and instead of what I could give you, which was real and blah blah. Like that's what he's upset about.
Yeah, it's it's not.
Mm,
It doesn't convince me. Is all I'm saying. And
mm,
Ivy says as much. She says, Sam, because he says all these things, and he's like, she told me to come here, clear the air. I did it. Now I'm leaving. And she says, do you really think that Grace is going to believe that you figured out your feelings for me that quickly? Because I don't believe it. and And he turns around, he sits down, he's like, fine, what do we need to do to figure this out? And she says, well, if you convince me that you don't have feelings for me, then I'll tell Grace that you don't have feelings for me. And if and he says, well, how do I know you'll tell me you'll do that? You'll tell the truth. And she's like, because I love you, Sam. And if you really don't love me, then I don't want to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. It's fair. I love Ivy. I do. So they sit down, they start to talk. She says, I brought these pictures for you.
Oh my God, these pictures.
One is the first one is a picture of Ethan in a baseball uniform, and it makes Sam very excited. He lights up. He's like, I didn't know Ethan liked baseball. And great Ivy is like, oh yes, he's so much like you, right? He talks about him batting left and throwing right, I think.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's like, I
Just
didn't know
like Sam.
yeah, he's just like you, Sam. Like father, like son, I think literally she says at one point.
Mm.
But then she hands him a picture. Then hands him a photoshopped picture of her, Ethan as a little boy, and that one picture of Sam with that bad haircut from when he was like 20 or whatever. And this sets him off. He's pissed. He's like, what is this? Did you have this made? And
Like, obviously she had it made. Look at it, sir. Look at it.
also, do you remember taking a picture with them ever?
Right, exactly. And also, look at the Photoshop job. We're talking like 2001 Photoshop. It's not good.
Yeah, it was terrible. They didn't even call it Photoshop. They called it computer generated.
Yeah, is this a computer generated image? Well, yes, sir. It certainly is. What tipped you off?
And if I don't understand why Ivy would have given him that photo, but I do understand why she would have made it. It's the same reason I made collages of me and Legolas, right? Like it's the same.
It's the same reason that all of us were like, when we were in like 6th grade, we're like, Mrs. Frodo Baggins. Yeah. Like writing it all over our notebooks and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we didn't know Legolas's last name was Greenleaf. And so,
Yeah.
we must.
It's the same reason. I was like putting myself in pictures next to boys that I liked and like looking up our horoscopes to see if we were compatible. Like, I get why she did it. It's honestly not weird. It's a normal thing that you do when you like somebody.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that a grown woman was doing it.
Yeah.
We were talking about what we did in middle school. So it's weird that she's grown and she's doing this shit. But like, I get it. It's like this fantasy life. And also it's her son's actual father. So I also get, as a grown adult, if I were comparing like the face of my son to the face of his father, just kind of looking, oh, his features, and that makes sense. I mean, it's weird, but like I can explain it away because I like Ivy.
I just didn't understand why he got so mad about it. But anyway, he got really angry and started to leave. But she made him come back somehow. Do you remember how? I don't know. He was pissed. And then, she was like, oh, but I have other pictures. She apologized profusely about that one picture. She's like, I brought this photo album for you. Please take it. As he was leaving, he takes it. He starts thumbing through it and he sits back down. He calms down. He like loves all these pictures of Ethan and is like feeling like a proud father of his first-born son.
Oof.
They make a big deal about sons in this show.
They still make a big deal about it. I remember that. I remember getting really annoyed.
At one point, during the Hell Week, Ethan got dragged to hell at one point. And he gets pulled. He gets trapped by some demons who are trying to pull him to hell. And Sam's like trying to pull him out, and he goes, "No, not my only son." I was like, "What the fuck?"
What about Noah? He has another son.
And I forgot to mention it on the podcast last time, but that absolutely happened. He was like, "Not my only son." Ugh. So he's very excited about Ethan being his son now.
He loves Ethan the way that Ivy loves him.
Yeah. Ooh, no.
No, maybe not that way. Maybe not that way.
Oh gosh.
He's obsessed. So
they go through this photo album. Eventually he leaves, right? I don't think did anything else happen with them. They just met up, talked about the pictures and stuff. So yeah, that's basically it, right?
That's basically it. I think like Ivy gives him the pictures, tells him she wants it all. And then Sam fucks off back to the antique shop or whatever, and lies to
Yeah.
Grace
Let's
because
talk about that.
he gets there and he says, well, I did it. I talked with Ivy and it turns out I have no feelings about it and everything is fine. Um, and Grace doesn't buy it because she keeps having this premonition, which, by the way, why is her premonition of Sam and Ivy making out over a milkshake accompanied by the sound of a dog bark?
Is it? I didn't even notice.
I noticed it every fucking time. I was like, why is this dog barking? The first time I thought it was like my neighbor. And then I heard, and then I noticed every single time it was like a whack.
Oh, maybe that's like an important, like maybe that's an important like detail.
I don't know. The sound of her premonition was like it was like a singular dog bark or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Huh.
just being weird,
That's
but it was
so that's so weird. I didn't notice it, but maybe it might be like a detail that, you know what I mean, that's going to come
yeah.
up later. Yeah, so she keeps having this premonition. They talk about it. He says he could meet Ivy 100 times at the book cafe and it wouldn't change his mind or his feelings for her. They hug. But yeah, like you said, Grace has that premonition again. She pulls away and she asks, what did y'all talk about? Like, did you talk about anything other than me? Because he says that he told Ivy what he did say to Ivy, which is that he loves Grace, he wants his life with Grace and his kids, and he doesn't want her. He did say that. But he did leave out the part where they talked about Ethan a lot, right?
Mhm.
And so she says, did you talk about anything else? And oh no, she says, did you talk about anything else, or are you just keeping more secrets from me? That's what she
Mhm.
says. And then somehow, I don't know how this happened. Maybe I missed it entirely, but I don't think I did because I was waiting for this moment. Somehow we just skipped to Grace talking about how she needs to know that she's the only woman in his heart. Like we gloss over what what his response to her was. Did you get a response from that question?
I didn't write anything other than like I think she it was kind of like train of thought. Like she immediately brings up her amnesia, not knowing about her past. She needs to know the truth. She needs to know there's no other women. Like I'm not really sure how I'm not sure. It
I
seems
okay. I because they
yeah,
didn't give him the chance to answer the question. What else
yeah,
did you talk about? Because they like
yeah.
cut to a commercial, came back, and then we were in this whole new space of Grace, like you said, talking about her amnesia and saying that she needs to know that she's the only woman in his heart, which, like I said, is unrealistic. But
Mhm.
then, um, she starts to cry. She starts to cry, and he pulls out a handkerchief from it, which I've never seen this man with a handkerchief. I've never seen him with a handkerchief. Now all of a sudden he's got a handkerchief like he's a 19th century dandy or something. Like, why are you carrying this? Why do you even have this? And those pictures fall out of his pocket. He had put them in his pocket. The two weird one, well, the one weird one and the one of Ethan playing with his baseball uniform or whatever. And he very quickly and very suspiciously like fumbles to pick up the pictures and try to hide them from Grace, and she's like, "What are those pictures?" immediately, and she's like, "Show
Mhm.
them to me." And he hands them to her, and it upsets her greatly. She's
Yeah,
like,
she's
"Did
like,
you?"
it's a picture of your other family.
Yeah, and she's like, "Did you hide these pictures because you still have feelings for Ivy?" And and then he says, "Well, I do have feelings for her, but they're resentment and hate for all the pain that she's caused." And then he asks what he should do to fix this, and she says she doesn't know. She says, I just don't want to lose you. She says that to him. I just don't want to lose you. These people need couples therapy.
Yeah.
Grace needs therapy on her own.
Mhm.
She does. She needs a space to talk, figure out some things.
So does Sam.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Sam absolutely does too. Yes. Actually, everybody in this town needs some therapy considering the trauma they just went through last night. Um, but
Trauma.
they really, really need couples therapy. Like
Mhm.
they don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Find a
Yeah.
therapist.
Yeah.
Even if it's doctor of the year, Eve Russell, because I don't know if you've realized this, but Eve is like every doc. Oh, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Eve's every doctor.
Yeah.
Eve's every doctor in this town. So
It's
yeah,
coming, Eve.
let's get us some Eve, Doctor of the Year 1999 Eve Russell.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
I missed. We didn't have any TC and any Eve in this
Good.
batch of episodes. I was like, oh, I wondered what they were doing, but we got nothing. So I don't know.
Mm, leave them where they at. It is. Oh, it's now canon in this show that um Chad is Eve and Julian's son. That's like where we are. They
Uh,
don't know that. Like the wider community doesn't know that, but they have. The show has told us, the viewers, that that is what it is. So
mm,
that was a big thing a few weeks back.
mm.
They did like a DNA thing, which was ridiculous, but I'm not going to talk about that because I already did. Anyway, that's where we leave it with Sam and Grace this week. And I need to take a quick little break and say thank you to the patrons over on Patreon. So, thank you to Munashe, Marcus, Erica, Breland, Lisa, Sid, Randall, Ashley, Hannah, Camelia, Samantha, Eric, Jamie, Fantasia, Sean S., Larissa, Maria, George Lopez Fitzgerald, Lisa, and Jessica. Thank you all so much for being patrons. And if you would like to become a patron, remember you can just go over to patreon.com/passions podcast and sign up for whatever tier you like. Please and thank you. It really helps, honestly. It helps a lot to keep me going. That
We
honestly,
applaud
the Patreon's
our.
the only thing keeping me doing this podcast. Honestly, 100%.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm doing it for them.
Round of applause for the patrons.
Yay!
Yeah,
Thank you all so
woohoo.
much. They're all so lovely too. They're all really nice. So, all right, we are going on to Shawise, right? Yes.
I thought we were doing fated couples. Or are we ending with them?
I think we're gonna end with them, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, let's do it.
Okay, let's talk about Shawise. Ugh. Louis. Oh, did you see New Hank?
I saw new Hank, who also plays Captain Awesome on Chuck. Like, I know him from Chuck, where he plays a character who's like this very handsome, like, I think cardiac surgeon or doctor, basically. Basically, he's just good at everything. He's handsome, he's nice, he's athletic, he's a fucking doctor. And he does such a good job in that show.
Oh,
Yeah. So he walked on and I was like, oh my God, Hank is
I was
Captain Awesome.
I was just about to ask you, is he a good actor on that show? Because on Passions, he was terrible.
He was not good in Passions from what I saw. And he was perfect on Chuck, but they kind of wrote him to be this kind of like, they didn't write him to, I don't know. He did great on Chuck. He was great in that role, but I think they wrote it in a way that he could be excellent at it. But yeah,
Mm.
the little bit I saw in Passions, I was like,
Yeah.
not excellent.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Luis is recreating Sheridan's dream proposal. So Luis has been trying to propose to Sheridan for like hours at this point. It's been like they left the Hell House. Like the Hell House stuff happened. They were there. Sheridan fell into a chasm at one point. He saved her from that. And he told Hank that he was going to propose to her. He was like, I love her. I can't risk losing her. I'm going to propose to her. So they went home. He tried to oh my God, Laura, last week he gave the most beautiful speech. I mean a stunning speech to Sheridan. The bitch fell asleep.
Well, in her defense, she had been dragged to hell. She had
She
a rough
fell
day.
asleep. She fell asleep during the proposal. So then they tried to do it again. And as he was proposing to her, she laughed. She chuckled. Yeah, 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 yes. Because she was like, oh, when I was dreaming about what I thought my proposal would look like. Now, Sheridan was anxious for him to propose to her like all night. She was just like,
She's
come on,
anxious
just ask me
about
the question.
everything. Sheridan
Yeah.
is anxious about everything. I'm back to being very annoyed by Sheridan. She had started to make strides in my heart. And then I watched this group of episodes and I was like, oh my God, she's so fucking desperate and sad.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that because at one point I was like, oh my God, Sheridan's pathetic. Like, I
Yes.
love her, but like, what are you doing, girl? But anyway, yes, she chuckled. Like, he brought out the ring, which is like his grandmother's ring, and she like chuckled because she was thinking about like this dream proposal she had in her mind. She told him about that, and instead of proposing, he's like, I'll be back, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So now that's what he has done. He has created what her dream proposal would be. And
Mhm.
he gives another lovely speech. Nothing is ever going to match that first speech he gave. It was just so beautiful. I said last week that if a man gave me that speech, I'd fall to my knees immediately. Like,
To suck his dick?
Sucking all the dick. Okay. Listen, I really would go weak. I'm telling you. I don't know. So anyway, he gives her another very lovely speech about how he can't live without her, and he asks her to marry him, and she says yes. It was lovely. It was lovely. He recreated exactly like what was in her dream, which obviously was just the same set piece, but you know.
Right. And it was lovely, but what was not lovely was having to watch him do it twice. I was so irritated by watching it in the dream, thinking it was fucking real. And I was like, wait, no, it's Passions. They're going to, like, of course they're not going to do it for real. And I'm not going to get the actual proposal. But then I did get the proposal. I just happened to, I had to watch it twice.
That was my fourth time watching it.
Girl,
I'm like so tired of it. So
so
that's why I didn't even write the speech. I didn't even write the speech. I was just like he proposed. She says yes. Like that it finally happened. I was thrilled. I was really excited cuz I really was thinking, "Oh, this isn't going to happen. It's never going to happen."
yeah. I was surprised that it happened. I thought something would come betwixt them.
Yeah, especially with Julian and Alistair have a conversation or Julian and Rebecca have a conversation where they talk about how they need to break those two up before Louise proposes. So I was like, oh well, I guess maybe they're gonna figure something out before this proposal happens, but they didn't, and I love this. I love this for Louise. I do.
Yeah.
They
Should we talk about Julian and Rebecca?
yeah, because yeah, we did the whole thing. So yeah, let's talk about that's the next thing is Julian and Rebecca.
Yeah.
Oh, Julian is in his office meeting with the imposter again.
Oh my God.
It's like no time has passed.
Literally no time has passed. Like the actor walked on, he's still fucking with that goddamn mask that's been sitting in his drawer for a whole year. 365 episodes have gone by or whatever. Yeah, no, it was like I was like, wow, I came in honestly at the perfect time because I know all the information I need to talk about these episodes, basically.
I think I told you when we first started doing this that I could walk away from Passions, I could walk away from Days for months and come back and be caught up in one episode, be fully
Yeah.
caught up. And it's just we put that to the test this week. You are fully caught back up.
Fully caught up. Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happened. It's amazing. It's amazing. They have been telling the story for a year and nothing has happened. It's incredible, really. It's
Yeah,
what a talent.
it's so funny. But yeah, so they are having this conversation and Julian says something very interesting where he to himself kind of an aside talks about the details of this plan, how they're going to get Sheridan to walk in on imposter Louise making love to another woman, and he says Sheridan will be crushed but better devastated than dead. Whew. I don't know. It's one of those moments where I'm like, God, poor Julian. I know I shouldn't be saying that, but like he really is stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I don't know. I think I've always been a little less kind to Julian than you. I totally see. I get it, but he's such a buffoon and he's so evil, and like I understand why he's the way he is, but I think I find it less. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I have a
Yeah.
harder time with him for some reason.
No, you should have a hard time with him. He sucks. He's horrible. He's
Yeah.
horrible. And I don't know why I have these feelings for Julian. They don't make any sense. He's everything. He's everything I hate. He's everything I hate.
Yeah.
Like a rich, white, bigoted old man. I can't stand him.
Yeah.
But knowing his father is just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he is now engaged to marry Rebecca, even though Ivy has not given him a divorce. And so he and Rebecca are like hatching this plan to break up Julian and to break up Luis and Sheridan before they get engaged, but they fucked up. They didn't break it up before they got engaged because they're too busy fucking around with this goddamn mask.
Yeah, they're fucking around with this mask, with this imposter. We do this whole thing about how Rebecca's gonna be the woman that Sheridan walks in on Luis making love to or whatever, which is ridiculous. What a ridiculous thing to posit what a ridiculous, like, who would believe that? Nobody's gonna believe, like, Sheridan. Why would Sheridan believe that? I know just because she
Right.
sees it, right? But like, it just doesn't make any sense. Why would Louise sleep with fucking Rebecca?
It doesn't make sense. What would make sense if they would get a second mask of Beth?
Oh yes.
That would actually make sense. And then you have two imposters. Or just have Rebecca wearing Beth's face. I don't know. It's yeah, I was with you. It was like, this is such a dumb plan.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Rebecca
mm,
gets a little too flirtatious
mhm,
with the imposter, and Julian gets a little jealous. So he says,
mhm.
"You know what? No, you're not gonna be the lady who he sleeps with or pretends to sleep with. We'll get an actress to do it." And which makes sense because Luis would absolutely never sleep with Rebecca. No world does that work. No world does that
No,
happen. Never. You even if you got him drugged and drunk, he wouldn't do it. He
no,
wouldn't do it.
it makes no sense. I don't know. I think I do have to say though, like watching Rebecca like try to squirrel her way back into sleeping with fake Louise is a masterclass. She's amazing. She's fabulous. She's perfect. She's great. I get why you were like, I don't even remember this other person. This Rebecca's perfect. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Andrea Evans is that actress's name, and she is spectacular.
Truly.
She and Ben Masters, which I don't know if you know, he passed away recently. Ben Masters, yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
like 3 weeks ago, I think.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. Maybe that's also why you're like feeling sad about
it
Julian.
could be, but
Yeah. Oh, that's sad.
the two of them plus Ivy, they are so good in these specific roles, and Andrea does such an incredible time or incredible job with Rebecca.
Yeah.
She really is just so, she's sultry in all the right ways, but also like has that lightness to her, but there's a darkness there. It's
Yeah.
so interesting to
She's
watch.
got like this little girl voice and it's kind of sing-songy and but then she can be she uses it so well with the men and then when she talks to her daughter Gwen she gets yeah, no, she's really good. She's great.
She's spectacular. So yeah, the way she tries to get back into being the lady who gets to fool around with this imposter is that she goes over and kisses the imposter. I don't know. It was camp. It was just camp. That's all it was.
It was yeah, it was camp and we love camp.
We love camp. It makes her weak in the knees, and Julian is even more like, no, fuck that. No, you're not doing that.
Mhm.
So, then Alistair calls after. So Julie and Rebecca have sex, whatever. Alistair calls. While they're having sex, the phone is ringing. But then the phone just picks up by itself, I guess, because then they hear Alistair's voice.
I thought maybe that it had gone to voicemail. And so he was like, "Oh yeah," but then they talked to him, so there's no way it could have gone to. Yeah, this is an excellent point.
Yeah, it was
I
weird.
had not even considered this.
Like he can even answer his own phone calls in the house, but he still didn't know that Ethan was not a crane. It just doesn't track for me. The
Yeah,
fact that he knows, so he calls to tell them that Luis and Sheridan are engaged, are in fact engaged, and that they have fucked up already with their
mhm.
plan is already off the tracks, off the rails. And he also lambasts Julian for telling Rebecca about all of their schemes and everything. And then he tells Rebecca, if you open your mouth to anyone, you'll wind up dead.
He sure does. And then he takes over the plan. Alistair just wants to kill people because then he's like, I'm going to take over the plan, and if it doesn't go well, then you're going to have to kill Sheridan
Yeah,
together, the two of
he
you.
he specifically wants Julian to kill somebody. And I
Mm.
think it's just to have Julian even more. Again, it is an abuse
Mhm.
tactic. It is,
Mhm.
this is why I feel so bad for Julian, because it's like Alistair seeing how far he can push Julian. He's seeing how much he can make him do for his
Mhm.
love, his affection, for the money, for whatever it is. He subjugated him entirely,
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wait.
he tells Julian exactly. Oh, Julian, right?
Aw.
Think about 12-year-old Julian. Think about what going through puberty as Julian Crane must have been like
Oh God. I
with a
mean,
father like Alistair.
and you can see he does it. We'll get there, but he has done the same thing to Sheridan, which we have seen a lot of. But I guess I'll talk about it when we get there because it's coming up. But
Okay.
yeah,
So
Alistair's
yeah,
a
Alistair's a monster. He tells them that they have to make this plan work immediately, or yes, they have to kill. Julian has to kill Sheridan, and Rebecca has to help him do it. And and she should have got out while she could. She's in
mm,
too deep now. She's in too deep now. She should have gotten out while she could. But he says to her, "You want to prove that you are the wife that Ivy never was? Well, you're gonna have to help Julian murder his sister and do whatever
mm,
else I tell you to do."
mm.
Whoo wee. Ivy would never go for it, but they never would have told Ivy any of this,
No, no.
because they knew Ivy would never go for it. But anyway, Rebecca and Julian show up at the cottage.
Yeah.
They have to go over to the cottage where Shuise is having a candlelit dinner, a nice dinner to celebrate their engagement. And Rebecca and Julian show up with champagne and interrupt the whole fucking thing. And they say they're there to congratulate them. And Luis is like, "Whoa, how do you even know that we are engaged?" And they tell him that Alistair told them. And he's like, "How does he know?" And he's rightfully freaked out.
He's the only person who like cares the way that they should. Yeah. Because and I think Julian even maybe responds and is like, "Oh, I don't know, cameras, he has staff on the payroll, I don't know, he just knows." Like they don't even bother trying to explain it, and Luis is like, "Hang on a second, what do you mean Alistair knows?" But this is where I wanted to, so anyway, moving forward. So Julian and what's her name, Rebecca, tell Shuise, "We want to throw you a proper engagement party to celebrate your love. We are so supportive of this relationship." And Luis is like, "What the fuck?" And Sheridan at first is like, "Oh, that's nice." And then she's like, "Wait a minute. No, it's not. I don't trust you." But
Yeah.
then they were like, "Well, Alistair really loves you. You're his only daughter, and he wants to repair your relationship with him and show you how supportive he is." And this is what I was talking about earlier, where he subjugated Sheridan as well, because she starts to fall for it. She's like, "He said that he loves me."
Yeah. And then when
Well,
they said that they went through a party, she was like, "Well, that's nice." Bitch, no, it's not. Remember the last engagement party that Rebecca threw? The last engagement party that Rebecca threw was for Ethan and Teresa, by the way. Rebecca
oh,
threw an engagement party for Ethan and Teresa. It was like to prove that she had no ill feelings for them, no ill will towards them, blah, blah, blah. But it was actually a scheme to out Ethan's paternity, all of that. It was an absolute disaster. I wouldn't let this lady near my party. No, I don't know. Bad juju. Even if you didn't scheme and make all of that happen, no, thank you. I saw the last engagement party you threw. It was horrible. No, no. But yeah, Sheridan is like, "Oh, he loves me. He said that." Girl, no he did not. You know he didn't say that. How old are you? He sent you to Paris. They've gaslit you your whole fucking life. They've been telling you calling you crazy to your face, girl. He does not love
yeah,
you. No. No, and telling
yeah,
you how like dumb you are your entire life and how
yeah.
you have
How
such a
no
bad.
man will love you because of the way that you are, and
Mm-mm,
yeah, he's
mm-mm,
awful.
mm-mm. That man
What?
does not.
He's gonna celebrate your engagement all of a sudden?
To a man that he has been trying, like blatantly trying to keep you away from. Like it has
Mm.
not been a secret. I don't know if you know this. It has not been a secret that Julian and Alistair do not want them together. It has been explicitly stated. There have been multiple schemes. There have been multiple things to try to pull them apart that they know about. Never mind the imposter stuff.
Oh, and I should say, sorry, this you probably talked about this in previous episodes, but Sheridan felt so urgently that she wanted Luis to propose because she felt like there was something in the world that was trying to keep them apart, and she needed to get engaged to him as quickly as possible to make sure that it's not a premonition, but that feeling wouldn't come true. And so all of a sudden she has forgotten that she was worried about this because I guess she got the ring on her finger, so she feels like it's a done deal. And so she's no longer worried that something is conspiring against them, even though the person conspiring against them is in her fucking cottage.
I'm so glad you brought that up actually because I forgot about it. But yes, she says, "I have this feeling that something's gonna wants to tear us apart." Girl, what are you talking about? A feeling that's you know exactly who wants to tear you apart. We again, I will reiterate, they know. Alistair and Julian have made no secret about the fact that they do not want the two of them together.
Mm.
You know who's trying to pull you apart. What are you talking about? A feeling? You know these things.
I think they're just trying to make it like spooky ooky because it's Passions and they have to have magic. I don't.
It's spooky enough. It's spooky enough that your daddy would treat you like this. That's
Mm.
scary enough.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. But anyway, Luis takes her to the side. He pulls her to the side. He's like, snap out of it, bitch. He's like, they do not want anything good for us. He was like, we are not going to this party. Like, do you really think that they all of a sudden are on board with our engagement? And she's like, you know what? You're right. So they go back over, and Sheridan's like, oh, actually, Luis says it first. He's like, we will not be going to your party. Thank you, but we'll throw our own party. And we'll invite the Cranes because y'all are her family, but you can come or not come, but we're not going to whatever you were throwing. No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Julian tries. They try to kind of he tries again to get them to come to this party. Oh, father will be so disappointed and be upset, blah blah blah. But Rebecca steps in and says, oh honey, why don't you go outside and let me talk to them? So he steps outside. Of course, Alistair calls him immediately, and they talk about what's going on. Rebecca tries again to appeal to Sheridan, saying, this is what she said, and this was actually really good. She says, the shock of losing Ethan and finding out that Ethan wasn't really a Crane really made them reevaluate some things. And they already lost Ethan. They don't want to lose you. And that's what has made them change their minds. They've had a change of heart because they needed a reason. For me, I needed a reason. Like, what is the reason that you are all of a sudden on board with us being together when it's been a year or so of you being like trying to pull us apart? So she gave them a reason, and it's a plausible one. But Sheridan does say, no, because I saw how they treated Ethan when they found out he wasn't a Crane. They threw him out of here so fast and never looked back. And what's her name? Rebecca, she continues down this kind of line of reasoning, saying this is why, but Sheridan doesn't go for it, which is why I'm proud of Sheridan, honestly, at this point. She, like you said, she's been subjugated so much. She still wants that love from her father, and I think because I think it's hard for us to maybe understand because we don't have parents that horrible, right? We don't have like a father that's willing to murder us, you know? And what a man like that must be like, and how cold he must be, and how you might be longing for love from that person to just get just a little crumb of something from them. And so when she heard that he said he loved her, which he didn't say, obviously, it made her like, really? But she came to her senses. Luis brought her back he brought her back. Snap out of it, bitch. And she said to Rebecca, thanks, but no thanks. We're going to throw our own party.
Mm-hmm.
So they go out. Rebecca goes outside, tells Julian, who's on the phone with Alistair, that they're not going to go to the party. Alistair says, I'm sick of these games. I want Sheridan dead right away, and you two are going to kill her.
Okay. All right. That's where we are. I feel like Alistair is just looking for excuses to kill Sheridan.
Yeah, I think he hates women in general. And I think he doesn't like the fact that he even has a daughter. Like, and I also think maybe she reminds him of his wife, of Catherine. I think she's more like Catherine, and he like despises he despised Catherine.
Yeah,
so
who died in childbirth 11 years after Sheridan was born.
Yeah. So let's move on to Teresa, Ethan, Gwen, Whitney, Chad. Let's talk about Whitney and Chad really, really quickly. Yeah. This was horrible. I hated this. I was it made me sick to my stomach, and I'm so glad it turned out to be a dream, because I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
I also hated this. I hated this. I was like, why is Chad a bad guy? What is going on? I really didn't like this at all. Okay, let's tell the listeners what happened.
Okay, so, and remember, disclaimer, this is all a dream. This is all a dream.
Yes.
Chad goes into Whitney's room while she's asleep in his underwear, no clothes, only boxers. He kisses her on the forehead. She wakes up and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "I can't stop thinking about when we kissed earlier," because they were making out earlier in the day on her bed. He's like, "I can't stop thinking about when we kissed or earlier and how you said no, but your body said yes."
Mm. I hated it. I hated it. I hated everything about it.
He was
Ugh.
like, he was like, "You kissed me like you wanted me to make love to you." That's a direct quote.
Ugh.
He
Ugh.
said-
Ugh.
and then they like start kissing again, but then Whitney stops him and says, "Chad, I can't. I thought you understood," because he had said to her, he gave her such a nice speech before, which was why I think that added to my like, what the fuck are we doing here? Because
Mm.
before, when they were like making out on her bed, she like stopped things and she didn't want to go any further. And he was like, I totally get it. I don't want to push you to do anything you're not ready to do. I love you and I want you to be comfortable. It was perfect.
Hmm.
So I didn't understand why we were doing this now.
Yeah, I didn't like this. This Chad was like, but I love you. And if I love you, then it isn't wrong. And if you love me, then you should want to do this for me. And also, I was like, what the hell?
It was
Are
all the lines. It was all the lines they tell you when you're like a tween or a teen that the boys are gonna say to you to get you to have
yeah.
sex with them. It was like all of those things.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever got those speeches that like
Of
boys will
course.
say anything to you to have sex with you. And it's like,
Yeah. It
except
was
nobody
all
was trying to have sex with me.
except yeah. Also, no one was trying to have sex with me either. So yeah, I didn't hear the lines except from adults who told me that I would hear the lines. But the only person I heard it person were the adults, which
Yeah.
is fucking weird. But anyway, no, it was all of that. It was like a weird after school special. I fucking hated it. And I was like, Whitney says that she likes him. She's not saying that she loves him.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
I was like, this is interesting. And I know it was only in the dream. So I was like, I don't know. But either way, yeah, it's awful and I hate it.
Yeah, it's horrible. He goes on to say in her dream, he goes on to say, also, this is her dream. This is her
This
dream.
is her dream. Oh, and also, sorry. Also in this dream, she feels guilty because they still haven't told Simone that they are together. It has been, I just spit. I'm so upset I just spit. It
It's
has been a
okay.
year. Excuse me.
Listen,
A year.
so Simone flat out believes that Chad is her boyfriend. During the
Mm,
Hell Night, during the Hell House stuff, she was like hugging him, calling him her boyfriend to his face, and neither of them said anything. It's
mm-mm,
nuts. It's nuts. And
mm-mm.
also, it's crazy. If you come on again in a year, we will still be doing this. This particular like what they want to call a love triangle, which is ain't no love triangle, goes on for so long. They do this for an incredible amount of time. But
Mm-mm. Oh,
yes.
also, it's a new Simone.
Yeah, we got a new Simone.
We have a lot of new people. Well, from when I last saw.
Yeah, we've got a
Yeah.
new Gwen, a new Simone, a new Hank, a new Kay,
And a new Jessica.
and a new Jessica. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they replaced like all the kids.
Mhm.
Apparently, I can't remember who told me this. I think it might have been Angel, one of the other co-hosts, told me that the actress, I think her name is Lena Cardwell, the actress who played Simone, the first Simone, she left the show to do Jeepers Creepers too. Can you imagine? Can you imagine quitting a regular daytime television? Like, I
Whoa.
guess she couldn't like get out of her contract or something like that, or she had to end her contract or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but basically, so that she could do this movie. But the movie was Jeepers Creepers too.
Yeah. But it's tricky because I feel like the allure of a movie was so different 20 years ago than it is now. And but yeah, man, oof.
And I'm sure it seemed like a huge opportunity at the time,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what we know 20 years on is like
You left a
you don't
regular
quit your
job.
regular daytime television gig at NBC for a
Yeah.
bit part on in Jeepers Creepers too.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
yikes.
But
Well,
Anyway,
Younger
now
Simone?
we've got this Simone, which is Christy Ferris. Which when we talked to Don, he said he's really good friends with her
I
still.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. So in Whitney's horrible dream, Simone barges in and is like, "I can't believe you, Whitney. What are you doing? He's my boyfriend." And then she wakes up. And then Teresa invites her over for breakfast, and then she goes over there, and then they talk about their sex dreams. Because Teresa also has a dream that she had sex with Ethan. Even it doesn't matter. I was so mad because I was like, when it started, her dream was the one that I was like, what is happening?
I
Because we
yeah.
had last week, she was trying to have sex with Ethan because she believes that if she has sex with Ethan, that once she tells him that she knew that Sam was her father, he will never be able to leave her because she gave him her virginity. That's what she thinks.
Yeah. So, okay. So, from my perspective, having not seen the show in a year, watching these episodes, it opens up with Teresa basically having sex with Ethan, Whitney getting pressured by Chad, Sheridan getting to propose to by Luis. And I was like, whoa, things have changed. I was like, interesting. And then 2 episodes later, they're like, just kidding. These are all dreams. And I was like, what the fuck? And so, yes. So, first of all, I was annoyed by that, but I was very confused. Why is Ethan allowed to be at the Lopez Fitzgerald house? I was very confused by all of these things.
He's
And
staying
Teresa,
at their house now.
okay,
He
pull
lives
up.
at their house now because he got kicked out of the Crane Mansion.
Okay.
And Luis basically lives at the cottage now with Sheridan. So he's staying at their house on the pull-out sofa in the living room. They
Uh,
started like getting it on the pull-out actually, but yeah, he's staying at their house now.
okay.
That's
Okay.
just what it is now.
Well, okay, I buy it, I guess. But yeah, Teresa's reasoning is disturbing.
And dumb. the
Disturbing and dumb.
and wrong. It's just
Yeah.
so wrong. It's so
Yeah.
incorrect.
And she calls it like her most precious gift.
Yes, we talked about it last week. It's just like
Her most precious gift. The most precious gift you have is your virginity?
your
Really?
hymen, that little piece of skin up inside here.
I don't think that's a gift.
Yeah, I don't. It's I. We talked about it last week, and it's
Oof.
so dumb. My most precious gift, my virginity. He'll never leave me. What?
Yeah.
Have you? What? Like I don't. What? I.
The purity culture that is pushed by this show is really upsetting, actually. Like, I don't.
Again, I talked about it last week. That is one of the exact things I said. I was like, the I'm so tired of the purity culture here. Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
And it was like this and like Seventh Heaven and like all this like I don't know what else was on TV because as everyone who's listening knows, I haven't watched television. But I feel like that was just part of like the world at the time was like pushing this we don't have sex until we get married thing. And
Yeah, I
no one
bought in for a little while. I really
I think,
did.
I kind of did too, but mostly because no one would have sex with me.
Yeah, nobody would have sex with me, but I was very like firmly like, no, I'm saving myself for marriage. Like really until I was like in my I would say I was in college when I finally was like, no, I'm not saving myself for marriage. It was the same time that I came to like my religious awakening. You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
like I'm not a religious person when I realized like, oh no, religion is not for me.
Yeah.
And then of course the only reason I was doing it was because of these like not the only reason but the largest part of it was like this religious dogma about being a virgin until you're married. And but I still was very skittish about sex for a bunch of other reasons. And but eventually I just got over it and was like, bitch, grow up.
I think for me, I had like because I went to a Catholic school for years until like middle junior high basically. And so like at the end of middle school, which would have been like 6th grade, I like signed like a purity pledge and all this. And I was surrounded by this Catholic bullshit. And I was like, which if you're Catholic, it's not bullshit for you. For me, it was bullshit. And I just didn't really believe in it. And I had started having a lot of questions in junior high about the dogma and about all this other stuff. And I was just like, I was really not feeling it. So But I was still being inundated by it, by the world at large. And
Yeah.
I've now turned into a sexed up feminist. So,
Yeah, I had like really bought in. I was like, as much as I am loathed and embarrassed to say this, I was a person. I was a hate the sin, not the sinner person. Like,
you were doing your best. You were doing your best with what you could at that point in your life,
yeah, I
because
just knew what I had been told.
you recognized you're like, I'm not a bad person and these aren't bad people and I don't want to hate them just because of X, Y, or Z. And
Yeah,
you didn't have enough world under your belt to know like what that really meant. You're
yeah.
the best with what you had.
Yeah. So let's get back to Teresa, Ethan, and
Anyway,
Gwen, and all of these people who are not having sex.
no, they're not doing
They're
well.
not doing it at all. So, yes, we pick up with her having this dream where she's having sex with Ethan. She decides she wants to have sex with Ethan. Who cares? Whatever. They don't have sex. It's a dream. She wakes up. She calls Whitney, invites her over for breakfast. Whitney comes over. They talk about their sex dreams. And then she gets a phone call that Ivy wants to see her at the Crane Mansion right away. And I'm telling you, Teresa was like on cloud nine when she was talking about this sex dream. And then the swing to absolute terror when she gets this phone call, which, okay, I mean, I get why she was a little concerned. But if I feel like if your secret had come out, Ivy would be at your house. I don't think that she would be calling for you. Like, I think she
Mhm.
would be showing up, being like, "How dare you send my?" Anyway, the scheme is from Rebecca and what's that other girl, Gwen?
When.
Yeah, is that they sent this information to the tabloid from Teresa's computer and with
Mm-hmm.
her email address.
Mm-hmm.
So, by their logic, everybody's going to blame Teresa and nobody's going to have a clue that they knew anything about it. Except Gwen has now kind of shown her hand a little bit to Teresa, saying, like, I know you have a secret. And
Yeah.
so Teresa's a little worried about, does Gwen know that I have a secret? Whatever.
I,
I cannot
I have
stand this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I had pieced that much together from what had happened in these episodes, but what I'm a little unclear about is, does Teresa know that they sent it from her computer?
No.
No. That's what I thought. So she is unaware that it has been sent. She thinks that they just know that she knew about Ethan's paternity.
She doesn't even think that. She doesn't know what they know at all. She
Okay.
can't figure out how they would know what her secret is. So
Okay.
Gwen has basically just said, "I know you have a secret." Teresa knows what her secret is. She can't fathom how Gwen would possibly know what her secret is. And
Mm-hmm.
so she thinks that Gwen is bluffing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are.
Gwen's bluffing, trying to figure out what the secret is. Okay.
Trying to scare Teresa, trying to get her to, I don't know, admit to something. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not. Gwen is not a smart woman. Gwen's
Mhm.
not a smart woman, because if she was a if she was a smart woman, she wouldn't even be trying to deal with Ethan anymore. One, and I said this last week, the man's not a Crane anymore. He has no money. He's in love with somebody else. Move on.
Yeah.
What's
Like,
the point?
it's interesting also watching this Gwen versus the first Gwen, because the first Gwen, like, everything was just so big all the time, and this actor, everything is a little more internal and a little more calm, and it's just such a different perspective on Gwen. It's very interesting.
It's very different, but it is not Gwen to me. Like, for me, and I've said this before, but to me, that blonde, for me, Gwen has to be blonde, number one. Now, I do think that Rebecca and this Gwen share a very nice resemblance. Like, they look like they could be mother and daughter. That other Gwen does not look anything like this Rebecca, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer her, but I think it's just because she's my OG. Because she comes back and and we're gonna see her again in like another 100 episodes, and then she stays for the rest of the show. So to me, that is Gwen. That's who Gwen is, and
Yeah.
this good acting, I can't relate. Like, I can't,
I know.
the subtleties, I don't want them.
I want over the top.
Baby, I don't need nuance. Bring back Gwen and that baseball bat.
Oh my God. In that red dress, that beautiful red dress.
Yes. So, Anyway, Teresa goes over to the mansion. Pilar meets her over there because Pilar's on her way to work. I don't know where Pilar was before. She wasn't at home. Pilar's never at home,
Also,
ever.
Julian hasn't fired all these people
Well, he can't. He
at
can't. He
retribution.
can't. He can't fire. He can't fire Pilar, right? Because Ivy Pilar works for Ivy. He can't. This is like something they've gone back and
Oh,
forth
right,
about a
right,
lot.
right, right, right. I
He can't
forgot.
fire Pilar. Teresa doesn't work there anymore. I don't think.
I
Um,
wasn't. It seemed like she did work for her. Like she was
she
still working for Ivy. But I was like, but she's gonna be your daughter-in-law.
Yeah, I don't think she still works for Ivy. I think they said that there's no way she could still work there or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
It wasn't really explained.
Matter. I'm sorry. I've gotten us off on a weird tangent.
Whatever. They get to the mansion. Teresa's terrified. She's worried. She's like, Ivy knows my secret. Gwen must have blabbed. She must have told her something. Why would she be calling me over so early in the morning? Blah blah blah. Ivy comes to the door. She puts on a really nice, like, mean face, but she just is there to say, hey, come in, girls. Here's my dressmaker, and I
Yeah.
want you to try on these different styles, and she's gonna make you whatever wedding dress you want, and I'm gonna pay for it. And so they're doing dress stuff. Immediately, Teresa forgets that she was ever worried in the first place.
So crazy. Oh, Teresa.
A
Oh,
lunatic,
Teresa
an absolute lunatic, but we
needs to be
love her for it.
medicated. This girl.
We love her for it. She needs some stabilizing meds.
Yeah. Oh, this girl. The ups and the downs.
The highs and the lows,
God.
peaks and valleys.
I love her, but whoa.
Oh gosh. So, whatever. They're doing this dress stuff. Then Gwen comes in. Ivy's nowhere to be seen. The dressmaker's gone off somewhere. Teresa's like trying on the dress, but in the foyer or foyer. Do you say foyer?
My mom always said foyer. She always said foyer. And then everyone else always said foyer. So I don't know. I don't know what I call it.
I feel weird saying that word. I avoid it actually. Isn't that weird? I
I
I,
think
I
I do
usually say like
too.
entryway.
I think that's usually what I say too, actually. I'm just like, I try to avoid it. Because
I avoid
I don't
it.
want to sound pretentious, but I also don't want to sound like the hillbilly that I am and say foyer.
Exactly. So anyway, Teresa's like in the grand entryway with trying on this dress, showing it to Whitney when Gwen storms in. Absolutely everybody has access to this mansion, and I've said this before, but it's ridiculous. When she walked in, I was like, why is Gwen here? But she's there to
Why
see
is
Rebecca,
Gwen
whatever.
still given access? She's not with Ethan.
It's
Oh,
because
because she's Rebecca's daughter.
Yeah, it's because she's there to see Rebecca.
Oh,
Because that my immediate was like, why is Gwen here? But she was
yeah.
there to see Rebecca, whatever. So she comes in and immediately just starts berating Teresa about trying to seduce Ethan and her secret and how she's gonna blow her out of the water and this and that. And it's like,
Also,
why, girl? If you got a
what's
plan, stick to the plan. Stop doing this.
and also what's the problem with your fiance seducing? What's the problem with a person's fiance seducing them? Like, I don't understand. She's grasping at straws. Gwen has lost it. She's grasping at straws. She can't keep the secret in. She's like really struggling. And she keeps talking about it with her mom. She's like, I'm gonna blow. I can't keep this in any longer. And yet she keeps going back to Teresa to taunt her. This is
Yeah.
not about Ethan. This is about Teresa.
That's what I said last week. That's exactly what I said last week. This is
Yeah.
not about Ethan. It's about Teresa. She just doesn't want Teresa to get what Teresa wants. She just doesn't want Teresa to be with Ethan. She does not give a fuck about Ethan. She
Yeah.
wants to destroy Teresa at any cost.
Yeah. She's been bested by Teresa and she's so classist and so racist that she can't stand it and wants to get back at her.
The way she was like, well, we're going to talk about it. So she yells at Teresa, then she goes and finds her mom and tells her mom, I can't take this anymore. I'm going to tell her. I'm going to let the whole world know about this secret because I can't do this. I can't see her flouncing around in her wedding dress and being so happy. And Rebecca talks her down and says, but think about how much more impactful it will be if you do it on her wedding day and how much more devastating. I think they said she'll crumble like a taco shell.
I missed that. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I think they said she'll crumble like a taco shell, which that's some white people stuff because real people who eat real tacos don't even eat hard shell tacos.
Yes, yes, facts. Yeah.
Anyway, so She goes back. She's storming to leave out now that her mom has like told her, no, you're not gonna do it now. You're gonna wait. She's storming out. Teresa tells Whitney that, when I see Gwen again, I have to find out if she really has a secret on me, like if she really knows what my secret is. So she kind of like takes a little jab at her as she's leaving. Gwen's leaving, and Teresa goes, "Oh, Gwen, you can't leave without telling me how I look in my dress." Oh, girl. How bold of you. I love it. I love it. But then that's when Gwen says, "Well, salsa stains are hard to get out of satin." Just that all and all of the racism is food based.
Yeah. Well, because that's for people who don't for limited people, they think that it's all boiled down, like culture is only boiled down to food. It's
Yeah.
just the easiest thing, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it's the easiest, laziest thing they could possibly do. And it's like, you really you're gonna talk about them about taco, like tacos are delicious. Tacos are great. What are y'all Polish? What you got paprikash or whatever the fuck?
What's paprikash?
Isn't that the thing with the paprika and the
I I'm
chicken
not
and the
I'm not Polish. I don't know shit about Polish food. I don't know nothing about Eastern Europe.
I mean, what's hotchkiss? What do you think hotchkiss would be?
Oh, I had never I don't know, like Hungarian?
Yeah, like girl, what kind of food y'all like?
Is it supposed to be German? Hotchkiss?
Hotchkiss. Still, what you
It
got?
still doesn't, I don't know.
What do they eat? Spatzel?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Schnitzel?
yeah,
Schnitzel and sausages and beer and mustard with pretzels.
yeah. I mean,
It's good. I want
whatever.
all of those things right now.
She tells her salsa stains are hard to get out of satin. Maybe you should get some a burlap sack instead.
And then she
Whatever.
goes off about, I'm surprised you didn't have them make the dress that you drew up in that wedding book that you gave to me and pretended was mine. Like no time passed.
Yeah, I was about to say they really gave you all of the things that you had already seen.
All of the things that I had seen, they just reminded me of it. I was like, oh, perfect. It was like not the most exciting group of episodes, but it was the perfect group of episodes.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I was like, it's actually like it sucks that she doesn't get anything new, but also it's kind of perfect to get her back up to speed to where we are now.
Yeah, it
But
really worked out great.
but yeah, so Teresa then turns to Whitney like very arrogantly, I would say, and says, "See, she doesn't know anything. She's just trying to bully and intimidate me." And she calls
Mhm.
her like a spoiled princess. And she says, "You're just mad that I got Ethan and you lost him to me, and you're just trying to make me upset. Oh, but it's not gonna work." I think she says to her basically,
She
"Honey,
calls her, quote, pathetic, vindictive bitch.
yes, honey, Gwen
Ooh.
is stunned. Gwen is stunned. And she then yells at Teresa, "Fine, Teresa, you want me to tell you? I'll tell the whole world about your secret." She goes full Godzilla, okay? And then, but Rebecca comes in just in time, is like, swoops her out of there. It's like, "Oh, honey, no, leave, get out of here." And she's like, "Fine." And she leaves. And then Rebecca says like one little thing to Teresa that was just so biting, but I didn't write it down and I wish I had.
Oh, I didn't either. I was relying on your note taking.
Ah, damn. It was really like really nasty, super racist, but the delivery was absolutely perfect.
Mm.
It was kind of like when a real housewife that you don't know gives a I mean, sorry. It was kind of like when a real housewife that you don't like gives a really good read and you're like, like I hate this bitch, but damn, that was a solid read.
Mm.
Like, you know?
The
But
Housewives of Harmony.
the Huskwives of Harmony.
Yeah,
So,
Rebecca's just the racist one. Like that's her whole personality.
yeah, the
Yeah,
racist actual gold digger.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Let's
Shit.
very quickly move on to Chad and Ethan and what's going on with them, and then
Yeah,
we'll be done.
perfect. So Chad and Ethan are at the Y. Well, they're kind of, well, maybe they're at the Y. I decided it was the Y, but now Ethan has no money, so
Yeah.
probably is. And they're working out. And I love them being besties.
Me too.
I love Chad and Ethan being besties. I don't love that they talk about banging their ladies.
It's locker room talk, bro.
Good talk, bro. Yeah. But they're just talking, they're being buddies, they're talking about stuff, whatever.
Yeah. And then Ethan starts to talk about how he's going to destroy the person who knew that he was Sam Bennett's son and didn't tell him. But he also, like, it's no different than the person who sent the story to the tabloids. Chad's trying to talk him down and say, hey, man, what if you got it all wrong? Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was this. Maybe it was that. Whatever.
Does Chad know that Teresa knew? Okay.
Yes.
I got that vibe. I was like, Chad's trying to protect his friend. Okay.
Yeah.
I also I feel like Ethan is the definition of hurt people, which is I hate that statement.
Me
I
too.
fucking hate that statement, but like basically he practically spells it out and says, I'm hurting, so I'm gonna hurt someone else. Like
He
it's
does.
just he's so simple.
He is so simple. He's so dumb. He's an idiot. I can't stand him. I
He got
can't stand him.
he got Sam's mind and not Ivy's.
No, he's not a
He,
great thinker like his mother.
no,
Yeah,
he's not.
he got Sam's brains. Man, I wish you had been here for the Hell Week stuff because honestly, Sam is so dumb. He was
He's not
so dumb through so much of it, so bad at his job. I
he's not very nimble of mind.
so stupid. But anyway, yes. So they're having this conversation. Then Ethan spots the reporter that broke the story, the tabloid story, at the engagement party. And he starts over because he's an idiot, even though he's a lawyer, even though he's an attorney. He starts over to like beat this dude up. And Chad has to stop him and is like, hey, man, you can't do that. Like, don't do that.
Don't do that. Let's be cool about this. Let's follow him into the spa and you can sit in the steam and listen while I work the reporter for information.
Yeah, so that's exactly what they do. They go into like a steam room. Ethan's watching on and listening from a distance while Chad tells this reporter, hey man, I know you from that story, that big story that that Ethan Crane wasn't a crane. I remember your picture from the byline, blah, blah, blah. I'm a big fan. I would love to be in on, a big story like that. If when's the next part of the story coming out? He gives him this kind of feeds him this idea of the next part of the story, and the guy's like, what do you mean the next part? And he's like, oh, when are you gonna expose the person who exposed Ethan? And the reporter's like, man, that's not a bad idea. And he's like, oh well, it's coming, and Chad says, well, I would love to be in on this and help you in any way I can because I'm a struggling reporter. I really want to be a reporter, and it's hard to get your foot in the door. And this reporter, to his credit, is like, man, yeah, I remember what it was like being a young reporter, scrapping out there for leads, trying to just make my way in the world. So I'm happy to help. Like, yeah, I'll give you a call, whatever, right? So this is working out. Chad is really working this dude. It's masterful, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And then this all works out in Chad's favor. The guy says, this is actually an important part. The guy says, yeah, well, we can figure out who sent it based on the email address. All we have to do is call the provider, and the provider will tell us their name. Like, are there no privacy laws?
Yeah, I also think that part was curious to me. It's also interesting that they keep having to try and explain how email works and the internet. Like they kind of get it wrong every time. I don't know. I was also curious because the reporter or tabloid person, whatever, says that he gave the original emails to Julian but kept a copy for himself. And it's like, how did you give an original email to somebody? You see what I mean? Where I'm just like, I don't think the writers understand how the internet works.
He printed out a copy and gave it to Julian. Yeah, they don't understand how any technology works ever.
Yeah.
And this email thing, like you said, is curious because honestly, the only reason I'm giving them a slight pass on it is because I actually don't remember how email worked back then. Like, I don't actually remember the internet was so new in 2000 and 2001. I didn't have an email address in 2001. My mom did, But
Mhm.
her email was like Sarana at att.net. But I also remember when I did get an email address and it was like Boomsy77. Like
You're
nobody
just
would
gonna
know it was me.
you're gonna give all your listeners your mother's email address.
That's not her email address anymore. She does not have that email address anymore. She does not use the att.net.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, I don't know how it worked because it was so new at the time, but I feel like without a subpoena, you could not be forced to give away someone's private information. Although
Yeah.
he said, although you know what, though the reporter, if I remember, said I think he says that he has an in at the companies, so they're just going to be sneaky and
Yeah.
illegally share people's private information and
Yeah.
publish it.
Yeah, exactly.
All
Because
right,
he's a slime ball. He's a slime ball tabloid reporter.
there you go.
So we now have a way to figure out who sent the email. They've kind of put us in a position where there's a way. When the reporter leaves, Chad immediately starts talking to Ethan. It's like, if y'all gonna do this ruse, keep it up. Chad follow the reporter out. Y'all just meet up later. Just meet back up later. I would be nervous that I would get caught. Wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Which they do get caught.
Of
So
course, they get caught.
they're talking, chatting it up, blah, blah, blah. They go out into the locker room, chatting it up again, like, we're going to get over on this reporter, blah, blah, blah. And of course, he comes out and is like, oh, you were playing me the whole time. And then Ethan grabs him and just like throws him against the lockers. It's like, you're going to tell me who sent that email. You're going to tell me right now, blah, blah, blah. Chad again is like, hey, man, stop.
Don't do this.
And then Ethan says, why should I? My father's the chief of police, right? What the fuck? Like, once a crane, always a crane.
I wrote the exact same thing down. I was like, wow, Ethan hasn't changed at all. This big fall from grace, losing everything he thought he was, and yet here he is, still working the system the same fucking way. I'm a lawyer and my father's the chief of police. I can do whatever the fuck I want. He's the worst. Ethan sucks.
Ethan sucks. Thank you. Thank you.
Ethan's a dum-dum
I
and
can't stand him.
he's a pretentious ass.
Yeah. So eventually, Ethan lets him go. The guy's like, I'm never going to help you. You're never going to find out, blah, blah, blah. Chad says to Ethan, "Don't worry, we have other ways. Like, you're a lawyer. I'm a street kid with." That's basically what he says.
With my street smarts.
Yeah.
Chad is smart. This is the interesting thing is Chad is actually smart. Like he can work his way through like a complex thing where Ethan doesn't stand a chance.
Yup. One thing I will say for the writers of Passions, when they eventually finally do reveal who his real parents are, because right now they have revealed to us that it's Julian and Eve, which is actually not true. They rewrite that. Like that's something that actually gets rewritten. Alistair like flat out says in some episodes before that Eve can never know that Chad is her son. Like, he says it.
Wow.
So they rewrite that later, and when you find out who his real parents are, you're like, yes. Like, he's smart. Like, he's savvy, and part of that I think is genetic. But anyway.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's okay. I got it.
So yeah, Chad says he's gonna help him. They'll figure it out no matter what. They go over to the mansion, meet up with the girls, where he tells Teresa, they tell Teresa, yeah, we got this lead. We're gonna be able to figure out who sent the email, and Teresa is thrilled about it.
She's thrilled. She thinks, oh, if they find out who sends the email, it will exonerate me, not knowing that it was sent from her email address. I was like, ooh, this is a good conflict. Yeah. Well done, writers. This is interesting.
Yeah. So she's going to be like working against herself without even knowing it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So that's it. You got anything to add?
That's it. What?
I said, you have anything to add here on the end?
Oh no, I think we covered all of our bases.
We hit them all. All
Yeah.
right, everybody. Remember, you can always catch me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Just search Passions Podcast and you'll find me. You can send me an email, passionspodcast@gmail.com. Check out the website, passionspodcast.com. And check out the Patreon, patreon.com/passionspodcast. And that's it. Laura,
That's Thank you for having me back. This was fun. It's
thank you
fun to check back in with these lunatics. I love them.
Thank you so much for being on the show. We have missed you, and it was so nice to have this long chat about this stupid show.
Little blast from the past.
Yeah,
Here
so
I am. And there she goes.
there she goes. There she goes again. All right, and with that, you are my passion for life.